Yeah. I agree, and I think that food count right now is really to the point where it is out of control. It is Ponderous already has his first Colossus out and his second being built. Kenjim's still only on his first, and now the food difference is now at 40 food lead for Ponderous, which is just a tough hurdle to overcome in any situation.
And so really what Kenjim needs to do at this point then is to find out this information for himself of how am I behind, and if so, how far. And at that point, that's when you have to start going guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
In the sense of, okay, start utilizing your Void Rays again. Keep your opponent in his base. Do not let him, you know,
yeah,
step out of his base.
It's kind of disappointing to me. I see that Kenjim actually has left that one Void Ray behind his opponent's base the entire game and hasn't moved it again. That could really be helping his army. It's a little negligent of him. But I do like how Ponderous has spread his pylons across the entire map. It just looks like Ponderous is showing a little bit more overall map awareness and a little bit more focus in his multitasking. If you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
If you know what I mean, Guns Akimbo.
I know exactly what you mean.
I can rub you till you know what I mean.
Really?
If you want.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm actually rubbing Guns Akimbo right now.
That's weird.
Yeah.
All right, so Ponderous has 2 Colossi out to Kenjim's 1, and I'm a little bit afraid of what's going to happen in this battle because Colossi, again, the whole point we had before when, you know, 2 Zealots kill 1, 2 Colossi kill everything.
Yeah.
To another 1 Colossi.
Yeah.
So
and actually there are actually
oh my God,
4 Colossi. So this is, I don't know if this is going to be strong for Kenjim at
needs
all.
to pull back, but Force Shield's just creating such a choke for these Colossi to just come in.
And we just see the bar that represents Kenjim's food supply just sliding down so quickly while Ponderous stays at the same level.
And I don't think Kenjim can come back from this.
Food count plummets to yeah, and now he just has that 1 Colossus left.
Oh, and that falls, trying to get that high ground advantage to keep sniping, but those Colossi can just see everything. They can see as much as the Meng statue can, if not more.
I think a little bit more.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
What if the Meng statue moved and walked?
But the Meng statue were built by Ponderous, so it doesn't. It's really
that's true.
A moot argument.
Yeah.
So but now the food difference is not a mute argument because it's 140 food to 53, which basically is GG.
Yeah, and this Nexus is gonna fall so quick. Oh, they just slapped Kenjim in the face. A Force Shield going down. Those probes cannot get away. Everything's gonna die.
Yep.
These 4 hero stalkers being like, please get away. Stop knocking on my door, devil.
Those aren't hero stalkers. Those are Jesus stalkers.
Oh, they die for their
country. Yeah.
For their master.
Yeah.
And Kenjim with the GG.
Yep. So. GG.
GG. All right, let's get right on to game 2.
2-0.
Duh.
2-0. Duh.
Duh.
Game duh. That's what they call it in Germany.
Yeah. All right. Once again, we are in the final rounds of the Starcraft Amateur Hour first ever tournament, sponsored by NVIDIA, because the winner gets the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 460 with 768 megabytes of GDDR blah blah 15,
which is so fast and powerful of a video card that it'll melt your entire computer.
Yes, in seconds.
Literally in seconds. You won't even be able to play any games because the video card is so powerful. But once your computer is melted, the video card will transport you to heaven.
Yeah, exactly. And also other sponsors are the new StarCraft 2 novel and SHOKZ Starcraft 2 Master Guide. So let's get right on to game 2 of Ponderous vs. Kenjim.
Yeah, PP is my favorite thing in the whole world.
Love it.
I love PP.
Alright, so what map are we even on at this point?
Sometimes in the shower, when I'm in the shower, I'll be taking my shower and I'll be thinking about PP.
Really?
Yeah, and really just wishing, like really thinking about PP, trying to strategize for PP.
You ever have a beer in the shower?
No, only PP.
Really?
Yeah.
You should try beer instead.
Maybe next time.
Alright, so explain this map, because honestly it's a new map and you know this map a little bit better than I do.
Okay, so this map is called Agria something about Agria. But so anyways, it's a 2-player map. It has 2 starting positions. And a very easily accessible natural, but also the natural is very wide open, and there's very short travel distance between both bases. So you really have to be in a secure position before you take your natural, which makes this more of a 1-base type of a map. And there are 2 expansions in the middle of the map, and the path to get around the map actually requires you to go around the outside of the map. So there's not a direct path across, which, because there's 2 paths, allows players to possibly outflank one another. So it's a pretty interesting map. It's pretty basic and simple also. And it's pretty new. It's not really too developed in terms of what players do on it. So I'm interested to see if players utilize the fact that it's short and go for some sort of rush build, or if they try to, take that expansion or even take one of the islands and try to build up in some way.
And so Kenjim in the top is the green Protoss, going directly for a gateway right outside his Nexus, playing this one very close to the, what do you call that? Close to the heart? Close to the gut?
Close to that thing that throbs within.
Oh, close to the throbber.
The throbber thing. The throbber. So, yeah, I like that.
Both players going for a gas at about the same time, and Ponderous, the only difference in his build right now is he is going to choke off his
Now,
ram.
I think that's pretty interesting, because in the previous game on Metalopolis,
he hated choking.
Ponderous was the one who had his buildings built inwards away from his ramp. I wonder what his reasoning is here. Maybe he is afraid on this short map that he will get rushed early with Zealots and wants to utilize a small choke to hold it off.
Well,
but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, a very good reason right here is because Ponderous has just scouted. Kenjim going for, once again, a very early 2-gate build.
Yeah. So,
and
he's
so
actually
going to Ponderous responding exactly with the same thing, but going for 2-gate Cybercore first, then the 2nd gate. So he's going to have a moment.
And he's going to use
vulnerability.
Chrono Boost on his Zealot, which is the perfect response, because that Zealot, even though it's slightly delayed from his opponent, if he Chrono Boosts the next one, that he should be able to have them out in time to defend. And although this map does have pretty direct walking distances, it also does, you do sort of have to travel around the map a little bit, which does make it a little bit of a longer walk. So, I mean, I think that Ponder seems safe to me. I don't know. We have to see. It doesn't look like his opponent Kenjim is really making Zealots now out of those 2 gateways. That's a little bit of a blunder, I think, because if you spent the 150 extra minerals on a 2nd gateway, right now he could have had just 1 for the amount of Zealots he's making. I really think he should be utilizing both of those gateways. It does look like, though, he's researching Warp-In. Both players are actually now researching Warp-In, so...
yeah, and both players actually going pretty easy on the pushing Zealots out, both favoring getting those warp gates early, and Ponderous is most likely will, depending on the Chrono Boost patterns, get his out first, which on this kind of map, I think could be pretty huge, especially if he gets a sneaky pylon in somewhere.
Yeah.
And, okay, so Kenjim is actually hanging out in Ponderous's base.
Yeah, he does have that probe hidden in the corner of the base.
Which is
but it is going to be
now
seen by Ponderous, who has set rally points for his probe to build pylons all around the map.
Oh, but did he not notice that?
I don't think he noticed it.
Oh my god, that's going to be so crucial later on. Kenjim, if he gets, I don't know why he hasn't built a pylon yet. Maybe this is a forgotten probe, but if one pylon gets in here, that is almost GG.
But Ponderous is beginning production of his robotics facility, so maybe he's, I don't know what that's for specifically. Maybe he's planning to get some immortals on a base like this, where the natural is pretty hard to secure, as in it's not very easy to defend, which is the same as the thing I said right before that.
Whoa.
But in reverse.
You're like a dictionary, but without the dictionary.
Yeah, but without but I think I'm a little more interested in the dictionary, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, on a map like this, an immortal push off of 2 gates and a robotics facility could be really strong, because it is hard to secure that natural.
Why?
because so normally you're gonna either want to as Protoss, the strongest things you can do, I think, are either rush with a lot of gateways early and Zealots, or expand and go for tech stuff, or do some sort of robotics facility immortal push. Those are, to me the strongest things. I mean, a 4 warp gate push might be stronger than the immortal build, but I like the immortal build, especially if his opponent starts to favor stalkers, because those immortals will rip through the stalkers. And in general, immortals are just pretty awesome. And the fact that he does get that robotics facility will make it much easier for him to get into Colossus later. And more!
You got to keep talking. Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
So Ponderous with an observer out, so he's going to be checking around this map. And it looks like Kenjim going for a robotics facility of his own, because once your friends have something, shit, man, you want it. Like one time, I had a friend who had like that Nintendo cartridge with like 60 games on it. Like it was crazy, and I didn't know how to buy that, and I lost my mind.
Yeah. It sometimes jealousy can lead to strange paths in life.
Yeah.
Like getting a robotic facility that you don't really want or need.
Or murdering people.
Yeah, both of those things are pretty similar.
Yeah.
So I think that I don't know how I feel about the builds that are going on right now. It does look like Ponderous might be in a little bit of a lead. Kenjim does have one gateway more than him, but it looks like Ponderous is adding a gateway, but Kenjim is also adding a gateway. I mean,
so Ponderous just, you know, what's...
His macro is so
yeah,
strong.
So strong. Just, you know, every minute or so, Ponderous is pulling ahead in the game, even if Kenjim is just matching him, or I mean, for the most part, Kenjim's been kind of dictating the early game with those two gateways.
That could be indicative of their probe counts. I mean, Ponderous does have 10 more probes than his opponent, and his income is like pretty substantially higher, about 200 minerals more per minute than Kenjim's. And I noticed his probe count was higher in the last game as well. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Kenjim's just not fully saturating his bases.
Yeah, and it's amazing how even the 1 or 2 probe differential can make such a huge difference, let alone, you know, a 10 probe differential, which is huge, 21 to 32. And that's the kind of thing when you scout in a competitive environment, you need to be probe counting. You
Cognizant
need to see,
of saturation, yeah, definitely.
You need to see exactly the income of your opponent, because if you're not matching it, you're going to lose no matter what. But
there are some shenanigans going on though here. Yeah, you were going to say.
We do have Kenjim amassing an entire army in the back of Ponderous's base, just out of view of that pylon. And if, you know, this is the kind of thing where if he waits for that moment that Ponderous's army pushes out, if he gets some kind of vision right here, you know, gets even a probe here just to check it and moves right in, every single one of these probes can die.
Yeah, this is all going to come down to timing, and it does look like Ponderous is moving out. I think the perfect timing would be once Ponderous' army has entered the center of the map. Kenjim does have that observer there that you were talking about him having.
Oh, and there it is.
Yep. Wow, nice timing by Kenjim. That's exactly how he needs to execute
and this is the kind of thing that's going to hurt so bad. And is Ponderous going to pull back or commit with his attack? And we're going to see right now every single probe is going to die. 4 shields going down. The probes can't go anywhere.
The army of Ponderous seems to have stopped in the middle of the map. It doesn't look like it knows where to go. Those probes are all stuck behind that force field, all being killed.
Oh my god, such a huge
Ponderous doesn't know what
to
do. His army isn't moving at all. He's only microing his probes away. His army is at he's totally confused. He's like a deer in headlights. His next is gonna go down.
And it looks like he is going to commit at this point to a full-on frontal assault on Kenjim's base. And having a lack of choke for Kenjim right here is going to be such a bad position. If he had a choke point right here, this
he really should just hold this off with force fields on the ramp. He's not going to be able to...
force field, but not enough too. Finally, going to pick these off slowly.
Yeah, this is not enough. Ponderous' army is just so huge here right now. That's the only flaw of warping in like Kenjim has. He split his army across the map, and now he's not going to be able to hold this. Those 2 immortals are going to soon be 0 immortals, and then we're going to have a winner.
Yeah, and again, you know, it's the kind of thing where...
However, Kenjim's army is still in Ponderous' base, and there's nothing really here to beat them, so I think we're going to enter into a base trade sort of situation now, where it's really going to come down to who can kill each other's base faster, but those immortals do deal so much damage to buildings. I kind of, even though he has a late start on this race, I kind of am favoring Ponderous right now, just because of how quickly those immortals will tear through buildings.
Yeah, and this is a kind of move, you know, where you wish Kenjim had a little bit more foresight earlier on in the game of, you know, saying, okay, well, I have this pylon here, I'm going to warp in, the moment he moves out, I'm going to go in and attack.
Yeah.
But there's always that moment that you have to know that, you know, Ponderous just might not pull back, and he's going to have enough of an army across the map to do some real damage, and that's when you say, well, you know what, all my next buildings are going to choke off this, I'm going to keep a sentry or 2 right here to keep force shields, don't let him get up this ramp, don't let him get vision to let his immortals be picking off my stuff, keep him away until his entire base is killed.
Yeah, you always have to plan your plan Bs and your contingencies.
Yeah, and that's tough to do, because usually in StarCraft, there's so much going on, you can only think a step or 2 ahead, because you're forced to react, your builds are forced to change every few moments.